afternoon, everyone. My name is Amanda Opara of Clever Communications, and I'm here on behalf of the PAM. The PAM is a digital magazine providing information on the latest trends of the millennial world. It's also a monthly publication targeted to unravel the tremendous potentials of millennials within the Afrocentric legal space. And today is the last, but definitely not the least, session of the interviews that the PAM has been organizing, interviewing the MBA president aspirant. And today we have the honor and the pleasure of interviewing Mr. Adesina Ogunlana, who is the principal partner of the Winners Don't Quit Chambers here in Lagos, Nigeria, and the publisher of the pro-integrity magazine known as the Squeak. He has the Bachelor of Laws degree in English language from the University of Ife, and he obtained his LLB from Lagos State University last year, and he was called to the bar on March 14th, 1996. That was actually just a few days after I was born. He's the author of a number of books. He has written Understanding the Secret of Successful Lawyers and Why Lawyers Are Angels. Mr. Ogunlana was the National Coordinator of Lawyers for Change, a change exponent during the Nigerian 2015 general election, and he was also the MBA chairman in Ikeja branch between 2016 and 2018. Obviously, Mr. Adesina Ogunlana is one of the aspirants one of the MBA president aspirants, and we're very, very happy to have you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So we barely have an hour. Sir?
I'm just thanking you for the opportunity.
Thank you too, sir. Thank you for being here. So we barely have an hour, so I'm going to go straight into the questions. The very first question we want to ask you is, what inspired you to contest for this position?
What question, please?
What inspired you to contest for this position? Contest to be the MBA president?
My priority. My priority, if I should become the MBA president, is to multitask internally and externally. Internally, to look what can be done to upgrade the welfare interests of my members, including their protection and security. And then externally, it is to commit the Nigerian Bar Association to the salvage rescue mission of our country, Nigeria. Nigeria is the foundation upon which the NBA stands, and all the bodies stand. If Nigeria is not okay, the NBA cannot be okay. So my focus will be both ways, internal, to see how the welfare interests of our members, young, old, not so old, not so young, all including judges. Judges are lawyers. All their interests, the welfare interests from the two points, as well as now using the MBA to join forces with other forces to rescue this from the bane of the governance that is popularizing her, terrorizing the people, and making the country hell for now.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for your response. We have a lot more questions to ask, but before we continue, we just want to mention that we noticed that last week when the Electoral Committee of the Nigerian Bar Association released the provisional list, it did not go unnoticed that your name was not listed. And so it became natural that a lot of your supporters and members of the bar in general were a little bit confused as to what was going on as to why you were not listed. So today we would like to ask you, we at the PAM here, we know that you have appealed the particular situation, but we just want clarity for everyone to understand why your name was not listed, the steps you're taking to rectify that, and if this can be rectified before the upcoming elections, which is barely a month away.
Thank you so much. Yes, the Electoral Committee of the Nigerian Bar Association, invited people who are interested in positions in the elections coming July 24th to submit their nomination forms. They will have nominators, they will have seconders who must be eligible as the candidate or the prospective candidate as the ex-member has decided to call on. And I see one of the requirements is that the candidate, the nominator, the seconder must have letters of good standing from the chairman of their branch. Incidentally, my own nominator, my seconder, and myself were all from the same branch, and my nominator, Daria Akande, my seconder, Latif Absalam, and myself, we are from the Nigerian Bar Association Election branch, and submitted the forms, we filled it. All what we are required to attach were attached, except the letter of good standing from me, or me. Applied duly to the branch chairman, gentleman called Dele Olopi, who's been a rival in the branch for years, but particularly as from 2016. You will recall that in 2016, factional leadership crisis broke out in my branch and in Abuja upon the refusal of these two branches to submit to the decision of the outgoing President of the League administration that those who want the election do not have to for election and all that. It was contested. I refused to step down, and the outgoing administration now decided to bring a replacement. The system brought out one Dele Olope very, very imperfectly. I resisted that, and but he too proclaimed himself to be leader of the Nigerian Bar Association branch. We were in court. The new president who succeeded Adesina Ogunlana, A.B. Mahmoud, came down to Ikeja and to set up a committee. The committee did not do anything for about 8 months, starting from September 2016 to March 2017. At March 1, the president then, A.B. Mahmoud, SAN, ordered a fresh election between myself and Olope. That election was held May 18 or May 19. And the day before, the gentleman went to run that he would succeed me. So that was the position. So I became full chairman and I was sworn in again. I left, but upon crisis, he wanted to come and his supporters wanted you to come to the office automatically. That's their understanding of the interpretation of the agreement between the two of us. I refused. I said, you will contest the election. People who are contesting against you, we will persuade them to step down, but you have to do election. It was very bitter. His supporters were very bitter, but I tried to follow the law. And that's the law. You can't, they wanted me to do election for other offices, but not for the office of the chairman. I said, we will do election. If it's only one person standing, we will do election. We did the election, and as God we want it. It was even Dele Olope himself who won the election. But it was an opportunity for him, the way he saw it, and his people, and to go full blast against me, against my legacy, and to do everything to destroy me professionally. I won't say physically, but at least professionally, all sorts of stories were brought out, we set up committees, and at the end of the day, we were in court. We were prosecuted. I tried to run for president. Now, we got to judge. Even before we got to this stage, we read stories, even at meetings, Mr Adesina is the candidate, is the only candidate of the branch. I will laugh. And there are some other people too who does not believe, or who do not believe that that should be the position of things. They were citing Egbeamofin and all that. I feel careless. I did not submit to the decision of Egbeamofin at all. I believe they are not only just an irredentive group, but very selfish one at that. And they have their own candidate. I have my own platform, the radical gender movement in the Ramimba. So local continued to vow to deal with me. I was unperturbed. And when the time now comes for me to get a letter of good standing, they refused to give it. He actually wrote me a letter that he will not give me. He wrote me a letter. I applied. He wrote back to me that I'm arrogant. I've treated the branch with disdain, and that I've converted 11 million naira of insurance money to my personal use. Where he got that information, I've not passed on. I wrote him back. You got your facts wrong. The insurance committee never said that about me. At any rate, the law is settled by constitution. It is my right. Once I pay my branch dues for 3 years before the election 2018-2020, I'm attracting as at when due, which is from between 1st January to 31st January, 31st March of this year, I'm okay. And if I've attended 2 functions of the branch previously, within the last 1 year, I did all this. The law is still in my favor. I wrote him this, and that copy of his letter to me and my reply to it, I wrote that put it with my package and with documents to debunk his allegation, so that it's not as if one fact. I'm not considering that fact. This is my bank money, so I sent it over. You know, curiously, the first thing I was that I was communicated first. I didn't tell everybody this, that my forms arrived late and could not be processed. But later, the brother came and said that they accepted. And we didn't tell everybody. We went on only for me to receive a letter. I think last Saturday, I just came through the screen. Because when they were sorting my papers, they found out that I didn't have the letter of good standing for my chairman, but that I have 7 days to appeal this. And that's what I've done. I've appealed that. I've pointed out the law to them, and that they should not consider it that the chairman is a consenting authority. I've been chairman before. When it comes to letter of good standing, the constitution is clear, and that they should not constitute as a strict liability event. You know, this is my appeal, and they have no other complaint. They have no complaint about my nominee, about my seconder, about myself, except that of good standing. My branch chairman, I'm not consent authority. So if the branch chairman does not like my face, it will mean he will not give me a letter of good standing, even if I've fulfilled all what I'm supposed to do under the constitution. That cannot be right. That cannot be the law. That cannot be just. And we tend to see this through. So I've done my appeal. I'm waiting for the outcome. But I trust that the electoral committee, being so eminently composed, will look at the law and let the law guide them in their decision. So I believe I'm still in the race. The disqualification is a perfect disqualification. It's temporary qualification. The fuller facts are now with the electoral committee, and I believe the law and only the law will guide them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was very insightful, and hopefully a lot of people will be cleared on that point. So we're going to go into all the other questions we have. Just wanted to get that out of the way. Thank you very much for your response. It was very detailed. So when we asked you what inspired you to contest for this position, one of the things you mentioned was welfare for members of the bar. That's something that you care about. So we've received a lot of questions from people all over the country, from Lagos, Abuja, Kaduna, everywhere, all the parts of Nigeria. And most of the recurring questions were as regards welfare for members of the bar, especially young lawyers. A lot of young lawyers have issues with their salaries, their remunerations at their workplace, poor working conditions, and a lot of things like that, a lot of things in that category. So we'd like to ask, how does your administration intend to tackle the issue of poor remuneration for young lawyers, and how does the administration intend to go about it?
I want to thank you for your question. It's not today that a lot of concern has been raised about remuneration for lawyers. It's only that it's become more strident the past few years. Young lawyers, and when we say young lawyers, generally we're thinking of lawyers from age 0, age 1 to age 7, age 5, sometimes age 10. And what I may not agree with is that a demand, compulsory demand on the Nigerian Bar Association to fix that. Because we are lawyers, and the first thing about a lawyer will be his understanding of the law and his adherence to the law. When you understand the law, then you are so guided. The law is like an oracle. You are so guided. Let me use this example. We are in Lagos here. Somebody wants to go to Kuton or Benin Republic. Instead of going towards Badagry, he's going by land. He has tried to go towards Benin. And he's going on to where is he going to land? Most likely he's going to land in Cameroon or Madagascar or something. He may find his way back to Benin, but he's going the wrong direction. Let us tell the truth. The MBA does not employ lawyers, except maybe at the secretariat and the various branches, and lawyers, young lawyers generally fall into different modes of employment. There are people in private sector, there are people in public sector. If lawyers who are young lawyers in public sector come to me as president of the MBA to say that we have problem with our employers, why ever not? We will use the machinery of the MBA to reason, to dialogue with the employer. That's fair. But most of the lawyers who are employed by private firms, you want to compare private firms and say, pay this much. On paper, it's attractive, but you know, we are in a capitalist mode of economy. I would even say neo-capitalist, like client state for Western imperialism. The economy is in a free flow, free fall. And one will be deceiving people when you begin to say, don't worry, I will make the employers to be paying so much. And you begin to look at even, what do you pay? Is it the same thing you pay in Okipo, that you pay in Lagos, that you pay in Oyo, that you pay in Enugu, that you pay in Katrina? That's a major challenge. What do you do? People are poorly paid. Now, when people are talking about poor remuneration, consider again that salary is just one part of condition of service. There are some places you earn good money, but you are treated like slaves. You are in wage serve. You are not free. So at the end of the day, maybe 2 years, 1 year, you are broken and you need to pay. And there are some other places where you are not that badly treated. They are giving a lot of latitude, sometimes to even earn your own reach. But you are not so fantastically paid. You want to look at the purpose of these various chambers employers. There are some chambers that earn beyond the excess of $1 billion, 2 billion naira a year. There are some chambers that earn maybe only about 5 billion naira a year. Where do you put them? How do you put them? How do you begin to say somebody maybe 150,000, 200,000 naira to only about 10 lawyers that same has? You want to see that person fantastically when another person any only about 5 to 10 million naira a year is putting 5 lawyers or 4 lawyers 80,000 naira a month rather. So how do you categorize? How do you categorize that? I think, with due respect to all our colleagues, especially the younger ones, we have to admit one thing: the economy of the country battered. The economy of the country is battered. And if, from experience, except seniors who keep open chambers, that is, seniors are allowed to stand in on meetings with clients, they are allowed to participate in the charging mode, the wrong impression could be given, and is given most of the time, that the chamber is doing well because of the so-called caliber of clients that come from clientele, but they may not really be doing well. Senior lawyers, veteran litigators, especially, will begin to tell you that in fact, the more respectable, the supposedly richer clients are even stingier than the ordinary people or middle level earning people who come to chamber. So, but what do we do?
Yes.
What do we do? Me, I would say that one, my addition is not going to force senior employers of labor to pay money, to pay beyond their capacity. But I intend, if I should come in there, to set aside a reasonable amount of money for the special care of young lawyers. Special care of young lawyers. Then to mobilize the NBA to tackle those people who are misgoverning our country, pauperizing us, looting our resources. You know, that is the core problem. We are not the only people suffering. And you look at the artisans, many of them are, especially in Lagos and big cities, going back to Okada driving because their carpentry, their welding business, so many of these crafts, tailoring, no longer pays. The economy is down. So they try to go to something that will give them system ready money. It's everywhere. Doctors complain, engineers complain, architects complain. How many people buy fresh land now and develop and build? Most people don't do that again. How many people buy new vehicles? You just continue with what you have. So we really have to go to the root of the problem. It's the economy, it's the politicians, it's the government. They are very wicked and insensitive to us. And the earlier we mobilize our people to confront them, because we must live for the enlightenment of our people and advancement of their cause. But when we begin to carry ourselves as if we are okay when we are not okay, majority of people are not okay. So like I said, primarily, I can't force seniors to pay, but I will set money aside for the special welfare of young people, for the palliative, especially. We will generate funds. If you ask me questions later about that, I will talk about that, but we will put money aside. It will be a continuous palliative thing. Lawyers must assist the younger ones, and then the elderly and the sick. That's what we will do that. And of course, our administration, if we come to power, will definitely take on the governance in this country.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your response. 2 points are to be noted from what you said. You said your administration intends to set up, let's say, some sort of fund for young lawyers to be able to take care of lawyers that are not receiving adequate remunerations. And you also stressed on the importance of addressing the issue from the root, which is people managing our economy in the country, the politicians. Thank you very much for that response. Now, our next question is, we also received questions as regards how the impact of the NBA can be felt not just in commercial hubs like Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt. There are lots of states in Nigeria that at times it seems as if they are marginalized, or the NBA is not aware or in cognizance of their own needs. So how do you intend for your administration to be felt across the country? Because the administration is not just for some particular country, particular states in the country, but all the states in Nigeria. So how do you intend that the impact of your administration, how do you intend to go about it to be felt in all other states of the country, aside just the popular ones?
Thank you so much. That agitation is right. We have 126 branches of the Nigerian Bar Association, but all the branches are not equal in terms of number, in terms of access, in terms of visibility. In fact, there are some branches where their chairman or secretary stay down for 5 years, 7 years, because nobody is willing to take up that responsibility. And in some jurisdictions, it's even 1 or 2 judges, maybe the chief judge or the head judge, that even help the bar financially. That cannot be right, and it's not right. You know, well, fortunately, I have a very rural background, and I like to say I grew up on the farm. Incidentally, we have been exposed to the teacher of Jeremy Ben's farm. Law must be made for the generality of the majority, for the happiness of the majority of the people.
Mm.
Law is administration. What is administration? You then intend to stay back in Lagos? No. I already I've started teaching those people who work with me as vice president. This one is not going to be a static Abuja-based or Lagos-based administration. We move around the country, not around the world, around the country, interacting with our members. Because as you people would say, Ori Kojori, one head is not better, is not worthier than another head. We are equal, and if as lawyers we cannot begin to serve ourselves equally. You see, the small branches in the provinces will have our special attention. The idea is that look at my branch. My branch is a big branch. They are probably the second or largest at 6,000 officially registered of school, of almost 7,000. Look at Lagos. That's a super heavyweight, about 13,000 people, lawyers. In Lagos alone, for example, they have over 100 senior advocates of Nigeria, whereas in some branches, they're not even up to 60 or 50, at 70, and all that. We have to take care of them. Part of the problem is that the leaders are cooking in their relative opulence. So they could not understand what these branches. In my travels, for other candidates before these elections, and we got elected deeply over the years, you have to pity the situation. They don't even have back centers. Sometimes they just meet anywhere. I want to tell leaders of these kind of branches, you are another category of special people needing special attention. As long as the leaders who manage to come for next meetings, I intend to set up a body for rural branches and rural lawyers. I want to talk from statistics from them, doing from them, not from my personal experience. And I think I learned that from Paul Insoro, SAN, when he was running. He said, well, when they are talking about funds and all that, we want to know exactly what funds that we have before we get to comment. But in my mind, I've already set up a special program for people who categorize rural. And there are things we need to do for lawyers generally. Even in cosmopolitan places like Lagos, many lawyers do feel a sense of connect. You don't get anything from the NBA. What you get from the NBA, you pay. That is the stamp. You don't get anything. You don't get diaries. Even beach, you don't get. You know, sometimes you even attend some branch meetings, you don't even get food to serve. And people wonder that what is there in this NBA for me? And caring for members go beyond just physical things, intervening in their problems. Whereas you have problems with security agencies, you have problems with investigatory bodies, you have problems with judges and magistrates. Some judges and magistrates are just tyrants. Very oppressive. And the younger you are as a lawyer, the more under their mercies you are. Yes. But there are some other considerate judges, like Andy Johnson of Lagos. When you have problems with lawyers in court, we will send for the NBA chairman. He's been doing that for years. He didn't allow me to come and intervene and we win. We encourage judges not to forget that basically they're lawyers. That's an area of intervention that lawyers always find useful. And people are sick. People are sick. The what is called insurance of 1 million, I've said before, it's not enough. It can't be enough. These are various ways, but I can assure members that take it, you will get assistance. I'm a well parished by heart. I started my career in the NBA as the welfare secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association in Kenya. And when I became chairman, it's a glorious era for my welfare department. We took care medically, we took care financially, and we are there always for them as their social weddings, namings, burials of loved ones, and all that. We are committed to that. I'm going to be a roving president, not outside the country, but to visit my members, nooks and crannies, and stay with them in their humble abodes and no discrimination. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. We're running out of time, so we just want to ask you one more. We have other questions, but just one more question bordering on welfare. If you could just give us a response in just 1 minute, that would be really appreciated. So you talked about welfare and medical bills of lawyers and all of that. So will you consider enrolling the MBA with the NHIS platform, that is the Nigerian Health Insurance Scheme platform? Is that something that your administration will consider? Also, just to...
Yes, clearly, we will do that. If there are other private alternatives to the NHS, we shall do. I'm very much interested in that. As you said, you're asking me one last question. Well, I wouldn't know what that 1 minute. Let everybody be assured. That's our focus of the administration's activism.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So much activism.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We make all our members to be radical. You need radicalism in this country. We can't continue to be like sheep. The leaders take us for granted. And we as lawyers, leaders of the community, will be failing in our duty and our history. Look at our motto: promoting the rule of law and with the quiet. When I become president, that motto will be changed. Not so to be added to promoting the rule of law and social justice.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir. So I know I said just one more question on welfare, but just another one. Because we'll be talking about lawyers a lot, but we know that there are various and divergent people that are lawyers. So the fiscally challenged lawyers, like the blind, people that cannot hear, people that just fiscally challenged lawyers, how will you, because most times people feel marginalized, like they are not seen, and that is not, it also happens in the NBA. So how do you intend to improve the practice experience for fiscally challenged lawyers, whether young or just fiscally challenged lawyers? How will your administration go about that? Make them feel seen.
Thank you. Any able-bodied person who is not handicapped in any way cannot really experience, cannot really understand what somebody with handicap feels. And that includes you. Because you are a man and you want to talk about pregnancy and all that. Well, you may try, but the woman will know you better. I would like to get their body strengthened. But I understand there's an association of handicapped lawyers or disabled lawyers and all that. And interact with them. I want to hear from them the opportunities for work. Already, even people who are able-bodied have problems. Even ladies, I don't want a female lawyer. I don't want this. How much more somebody who does not have his full faculties? That does not mean he's not competent. But people are having competence with all this will change under me. And I've talked about female lawyers too. That's another group that is discriminated against what for all these kind of groups of people who are affected. And then aged lawyers, we will remember them. We will give them positions. Of course, trusting that they will perform. We'll give them a voice. I think it's high time. It's a section of our association is created for them. Special people with special needs and talents. Yes. And we'll be committed to that. But do not forget the radical agenda movement in the MBA. Under us, if our people are looking for two shop lawyers to put on coach, cosmopolitan, stylish, both sides, won't get that. But we are looking for a warrior who will energize our association, who will not make us go down, the center will be there for you. Lawyers, you know, who will be from the front, and we have the experience. The background is there. You can't transform immediately to what you are not. But God helping us, if the lawyers that will look at our direction, will make them like a lawyer.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. That was wonderful. I'm learning a lot, and I understand how strongly you feel about welfare of the bar. So now about the profession in general, we know that it's a popular saying, law is a prestigious profession. That's what we say, that's what we're taught in school. But it seems like with every going day, it's becoming a fallacy. Now, what reforms will your administration do to make sure that the prestige of the profession is not lost? And if it has been lost, as some people will claim, that it can be restored, how does your administration plan to go about that, sir?
Thank you so much. There are two sides of the coin. What I personally believe is that without comparing ourselves to other people, law is a wonderful profession. Law is a wonderful profession. You need a lot of intellect, an analytical mind, industry. You are perpetually a student. Advocacy itself as a skill is even one thing that one should salute lawyers for. Erudition, all these things, and then the wisdom, above all, integrity. I think the society is not being unfair to us. The lawyers, yes, the lawyers are liars. Generally, how do you comport ourselves? How do you conduct our cases? Most lawyers, because of materialism, engage in sharp practices. They want to win cases for their clients. By all means, that's not what we are saying. That's what we are saying in school, is that the first interest of a lawyer is to see that justice is done. The second interest is to see that the integrity of the court and the judiciary is protected. The third is that the integrity of the profession is protected. Then comes the interest of the client. But what do many of us do? We put the interest of the client, which brings money to our pocket, first. And so what we are going to do, the area of professional ethics will be strengthened. We'll have to do real more meetings with ourselves, and then people who misbehave will be sanctioned. We need to really cleanse up ourselves. If they say that you are a lawyer, then you should be respected for your knowledge. How can you be a lawyer and you are ignorant? If they say you are a lawyer, not be well dressed, and you are not well dressed, how can you be respected? You are telling lies. How can you be respected? And I want to say, even inside that profession, you know, those days, some of us who are a bit older, when you say a senior advocate is in court and the opponent is a senior advocate, you'll be shivering, because at that time, 80s, 90s, 70s, these are real generals of the law. But nowadays, it says that we are meeting a senior advocate, you say, and so what? Because of the activities of us as Nigerians now being lawyers, we have whittled down the quality content of that topic. And so it is a call to the inner bar, it's a call to the outer bar, it's a call to the judges. And judges are not to do anti-punking. All this we need, in short, we need to look inward and save ourselves and reform ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. We're running out of time, but we want to ask you as many questions as we can ask in an hour. So we know that as lawyers, rules and regulation, that is what we are about the law, about obeying the law, sticking with the law. But we noticed that some young lawyers, these are questions we received. This question came from, I believe, Lagos or Kaduna, that some law firms don't pay taxes that they're supposed to pay on behalf of the lawyers, like let's say personal income tax or pension. It is mandatory in Nigeria that if you have a particular number of employees, you should be able to pay a certain amount of money into your employees' pension account and all of that. So some lawyers don't do this. How do you intend to make law firms comply with these best practices? Because at the end of the day, it's beneficial to the lawyers. So how will your administration go about handling this situation?
By sanction. It's by sanction legislation could be made towards that, and we'll sanction. But there are rules already existing for this kind of. But the problem, you find out that many lawyers lack one thing, which is called our college courage. Courage. Why did you that asking this question? Why you now say, okay, you have issues in your workplace, this is what your employer ought to do, is not doing it and all that. Even the issue of sexual harassment, oh yeah, come up now. When I was chairman, come up now. That's when the Nigerian Bar comes there, the person wants to spoil somebody's career. They will now come up with facts. That is part of the integrity that is needed. When people come up, my employer has fulfilled all this legal capacity, has the capacity to do so and so, and is not doing it. And so therefore, I'm making a report to the NBA, who will take it up. But without report, we can't begin to now become a sniffer dog and begin to sniff out seniors of law firms that are not complying or with labor laws and all that. We can't do that. We can't do that. When I was chairman, people do come to me and say, my employer owed me 3 months, I've left him, he refused to pay me. Ataku. I'll call the employer, I'll ascertain the fact. Is the fact, please, who still pay this person? What you are doing is wrong. It's amounting that to professional misconduct or not be beating the status of the lawyer. And they comply. So once our people are ready to come up and they are not afraid, how can you be a lawyer, especially in third world, and you lack the courage of your conviction and you're only grumbling under like a pig? That's not right. Come up, come to the leadership. When you come to the leadership, you find out we'll back you up and we'll fight your defense.
Thank you very much, sir. We're running out of time. I know I'm always saying that, but just so that we're in check. So we have just 2 more questions to ask you before we leave. So the second to the last question is, we want our bar to be internationally recognized, because basically the world is becoming a global village. We've been saying this for a long time, but every day is becoming a reality every day. So how do we position our bar in such a way that it is internationally recognized?
Thank you. You want the world to recognize you. Have you recognized the world? You want the world to recognize you. Have you recognized the world? The standards of the world, that is, are they stellar? If they are stellar, are they worthy of imbibing? If they are worthy of imbibing, why not? But you need to first straighten out. People will come and say a lot of things, IBA standards, what of MBA standards? If you are good enough, and I want to use the Madagascar example, you know what is still grasping over this COVID-19 vaccine or no vaccine. Madagascar went its own way, got up something working for them. It's good, but there is a bit of colonial mentality to be looked up to the world. They say international best standard. Are you even good enough by yourself? Are you good enough by yourself? Awolowo Premier of the Western region said, he did so well because he wants to tell the world that the blacks can do it as good, if not better, than the people who came as the colonialists. Aaron Wilson now said of him, Obafemi Awolowo, so good indeed that he's fit to become the Prime Minister of Britain. When I become leader of MBA, a lot of taking out will be done. It's the world that will look at the MBA standards, not the other way around.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So let's bring it back home. The MBA is for all lawyers in Nigeria. Now, there should be no bias, whether tribe or religion or just a selected caucus. So what will you do to ensure that our MBA is truly an MBA for everyone, despite their background or whatever it is? How do we make our bar an all-inclusive bar?
That's a very, very fundamental question that goes to the heart of my personal and organizational philosophy and principle. As here now, even politically, there's marginalization. We are behaving even worse politically than the average Nigerian politician, how could we, for example, enshrine pride, ethnicity into our constitution? How can we? And I've argued somewhere, if I say see the arrangement now, they say there's West, there's East, and there's the North. So somebody wants to become president now from the West, it says the West. How many states? Only 8 states. If you come to the East, how many states? Maybe 7 or 9. Right? So the North, about 21 states. We are carrying a lot of baggage. It's primitive. Well, people say it's expedient, but how can we be governed by stimulation of expediency? Why are we not guided by the stimulation of decency, of progressivism? This is wrong. So somebody wants to become president when it comes to the North, the so-called North. Now 20 people from 21 states, and you call that fear. It's not fear now. It's not right. Now we want to become president, and we say it's only from North and South and including Midwest and all that. When there could be far better candidates from the East, far better candidates from the North. We are playing the politics of ethnic balancing in the NBA. When Shakara Williams, back 1818, said the lawyer must live for the enlightenment of his people and the advancement of their cause. Yes. Well, here, what are we doing? What we are doing is now to ape our people. We are supposed to be the source of the earth. We are supposed to be the best. But what are we doing? We are simply educated.
Thank you very much.
And we should do better than that.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. So we have our final question, and we try to ask all of the aspirants this. We want to ask you, what are you bringing to the table that will be different from all the other candidates? Basically, what is your distinguishing factor?
Thank you so much. That's very simple. This is what it is. The genuine, what they call the real make activism. That's what we are bringing in. Activism. We are the candidate that understands the NBA from Nigeria, and not the other way around. Other people may begin to look internally and go NBA, but we say Nigeria is the house of NBA. The house is on fire, on top, below, all around, and we cannot pretend and purport to be making corrections in the NBA and closing our eyes to the reality in Nigeria affecting everybody that is in this community. Now you say you want to increase the knowledge of lawyers. You want to increase their earnings. In which soup are you cooking the pot? And in which pot are you cooking the soup? If you don't settle the pot, you won't get anywhere to put in the internet to put it. Activism. Let me say something. And I have no doubt about that. That if you don't fix Nigeria, if you don't join hands to fix Nigeria, if you don't join hands to settle this country, there won't be any Nigeria. And if there's no any Nigeria, there won't be any NBA. Yes. Way back when A.B. Mahmoud was our president, at next meeting, I used to tell him, when the guns boom, the laws keep silent. That's what the Romans say. Nigeria is not safe, it's insecure. Lawyers, other people are just killed anyhow. See, COVID-19 has been mismanaged. Courts have been shut down for the past 4 months. How many lawyers are not, including you, including me, have not been suffering because the administrators are not taking upon the citizenry that those are the NBA must ginger them of ginger. This is candidate ginger. We ginger everybody up. Yes. That's the difference.
Thank you very much, sir. It's quite clear that the difference is activism. So I know that was the last question, but I think we have a few more minutes to ask just one more question. Now, related to the question, yes, related to the question I asked about international best practices and all of that, we know that the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement may be implemented soon. Now, it's going to have a lot of effects and that will include also the legal profession. Now, how do you think you can position the Nigerian bar to be prepared and competitive upon the implementation of this agreement, putting into consideration the effect of the implementation? One of them is, I believe, there may be a single currency. So how will you position the NBA to be prepared and competitive when that happens?
I will answer you like my great grandmothers will say. They will say, I'm not letters, but I have my senses. So let me go back to myself. I'm not a commercial lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm not. But I have patriotic instinct. I have very high sense of social justice. My understanding of you, me, is community. If I'm the leader of the Nigerian Bar Association, I will first go to the experts within us. Ask them, how can we do that? And yes, I want to know whether they're serving capitalist interest. Yes, because they will put on some modes. Some leaders have gone, they were good friends, they said something about, what's that thing about tablet conference and all that, how it will yield. When it comes to practice, the tablet did not work. So I will speak to these experts, I will consult with them, I will be so guided, but at foundation is patriotism. How can my members take benefit and our money will not go to the outsiders, our fees are not going to the outsiders, where government is complicit or interested and have been interested in helping outsiders at the expense of Nigerians to get a fight from the NBA. Solid Babala fight, solid fight. They will get that. So, like I said, briefly, I will consult the experts within us and even outside of the fold of the NBA. And then I will judge and get the government assistance where the government is interested, either by default. You know, we are still a neo-capitalist, imperialist state. They are not interested in helping their members. I'm interested in helping my members and other Nigerians. We've got to fight them.
Thank you very much, sir. This has been wonderful. This session has been great. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. And we wish you all the best in your race. And thank you very much for being here, sir. We can't thank you enough. I know I've been saying thank you, but thank you so much. And we hope you have a great weekend. And thank you, sir. And thank you, everyone, for joining this section. It was organized by the PALM, the People's Accolade Law Magazine. All of the interviews so far from the very first day, all the 4 candidates, is going to be on the PALM Magazine's website, which is www.palmmagazine.com. Also, it's available for free download. It's for free. Also, follow the PALM Magazine on all its social media handles at the PALM Magazine. Also, look out for look out for future events that will be organized by the PALM Magazine, and there's definitely more to come. If you enjoyed these interviews, make sure that you also follow up on all the events that are going to come. Also, the monthly edition of the PALM Magazine will be released, so look out for that. It may contain some bits about this about these interviews. Also, our regards to all the MBA bar aspirants and the MBA itself for doing this, for gracing us and giving us this opportunity to meet with all our senior lawyers. Thank you so much. And we believe that the interest of the young lawyers and all the members of the bar association in general will be felt in whatever administration that eventually leads our prestigious bar. Thank you so much. And also, please follow Clever Communications on all social media handles. I'm Amanda Opara from Clever Communications, and have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you, sir. Bye.